morning, everybody, and welcome to Breakfast with Deacons, the #1 breakfast show in the morning, without a doubt. And as I'm traveling throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, I am amazed at how many people watch the Breakfast with Deacons. So, I have to give everybody a shout out. It's a promise. Listen, don't waste your time on watch other shows. You want to see good news? Come to Channel 10, where we have TCN, our Roman Catholic station here in Trinidad and Tobago, beaming live over the internet. So all of you who are watching us from far off, you can always text in and tell us that you're watching us, send us little messages on Trinity TV telling us, whether you like the show or you don't like the show, whether this crazy deacon is a madman. Well, I know I'm a madman. But anyway, good morning and welcome. And as always, we want to start with a thought from the Holy Father. So today's thought is this. And he says, Papa Francis says, let us ask the Lord for the grace to weep over our indifference, to weep over the cruelty of our world, of our own hearts, and of all those who in anonymity make social and economic decisions, which open the door to tragic situations like this. Has anyone wept? Today, has anyone wept in our world? There is a lot of pain in our world. Has anyone wept? Are we truly numb, or do we feel Jesus felt? Jesus did not become hard. Jesus was always there to understand that he needed to be tender and loving. And through his tender and loving nature, he was bringing healing into the world. Today, I have with me, they say, when something is good once, do it twice. Today we have Lorraine Pouchet with us. But in Trinipala, Lorraine Pouchet. She's here with us this morning again, because when it's good once, do it twice. Lorraine, glad to have you on board.
Thank you, Derek.
Again.
Glad to be back. Glad to be back. Yeah, me waking up at some ungodly hours, but that's all right. No problem.
Ungodly hours. I'm waking up this lady at 5 o'clock and she calls that an ungodly hour. Time to get up. We're going to be talking again about original pain therapy. And we're going to go back and we're going to talk about what we mentioned on Tuesdays. But just to let you guys know, because I know that some of you all, your husbands missed the show or your wives missed the show, you can always go on YouTube, right? Go on to YouTube, www.youtube.com, right? When you go onto YouTube, type in on the search, just on that search window, Breakfast with the Deacons, and you can see all our past episodes. So if you want to see a past episode, right, maybe you wanted to see last week's show, just go on to YouTube and type in Breakfast with the Deacons, and you'll see the whole episode. I know you want to see it. It's the best show. The best show. But I have to give a shout out. If I don't give a shout out, and this shout out is getting bigger and bigger. So Lisa Wickham and Gabby Branch, hello from Uncle Derek. Elizabeth Salvador from Pouchet, Liz, and I heard that you are Deacon Simon's sister-in-law, so I'm shouting you out this morning. Margarita Chapman from Westmoreland, I love you. I'm going to see you soon. Did Ali come back from St. Lucia yet? Asking you that question soon. Bernadette Ross from Piddy Valley, Ruth Liverpool, Marina Butts, Veronica from Santa Cruz, Judy Ford from Tunapuna, Glenda Sobers from Couva. You see the South people on board? Patricia Joseph from Couva, Inez from San Fernando, Petra Francis Chang from Union Hall in San Fernando. All these people shouting us out. Joan Clifford from San Fernando, Helen Khan from San Fernando, Villia from Laissez-Fort, Christ the King, Alison and Roger from St. Joseph. So we go on to the east now. Simon from Chaguanas, we gone back central. Alison from New Grant, deep south. Telma from San Fernando, Yolanda Kazoo from Philippines in San Fernando, Henry Harper. Oh gosh, I just can't continue with everybody. But this is a beautiful shout out to you. And I just want to thank you all for watching the Breakfast with Deacons and letting your friends know about the #1 breakfast show in the morning. But Today, we're going to talk about original pain therapy. And Lorraine is going to take us back to Tuesday. For all of you who missed the Tuesday show, we're going to just do a short recap and we're going to go forward. Lorraine. Let's
Thank you,
talk
Derek.
about
Well, I was
this
just
thing.
looking at the list of names just now. Your whole show will be calling out to people.
Yeah, but they're going to have to make this show longer. This half an hour, you know what I mean? It's just getting too big.
I feel so. And because we have so much to discuss in the little time today, and I want to really make sure we touch on the important parts, I've made some notes, so you will forgive me if I need to refer to the notes a little bit.
Refer.
Well, on Tuesday, we spoke about original pain therapy being the most updated based on modern scientific research findings on the stages of childhood development and how each stage impacts on adult behavior, beginning with the teenager. What that basically means is that we have needs at each stage of development. If these needs are not met, or if the person experience any type of trauma, you may not see it manifested in the child, but from the time they hit teenager, adolescence, 12, 13, 14, you're going to see some issues starting to surface.
The terrible teens.
The terrible teens. And then you ask yourself, but why is this child behaving this way? This is not the child, okay? So that is one of the ways it manifests itself. Now, regression, type of therapy that we use is regression therapy.
What does that mean?
Now, regression is not hypnosis.
Okay.
And we really do not believe in hypnosis and the original pain therapy methodology, because in hypnosis, you are in the control of the person who is working with you. You are in their control. Subliminal messages can go to you through that type of therapy. Though we do not completely discard it, because in case of severe trauma, where the person cannot access the trauma, it may be necessary to help them to free themselves.
Right.
But the regression therapy is very natural. You are quite aware and alert whilst we are doing it. But basically what we do is take you back through your life, right into the womb experience.
You could take somebody back
right,
into the womb experience?
All the way back. I had twins that I did in separate places. One was in a home for girls, one was with the parents. And their recollection of the in the womb experience was spot on. Who was the dominant twin, who was born first, everything was spot on.
Wow.
So that was one of my confirmations in the early stages that this type of therapy is really God-given, God-sent, okay? So that people can recollect up to the womb experience, what transpired in the womb. And on Tuesday, we discussed how the womb is the foundation of who we are. From the moment of conception, what happens has formed the foundation of who each and every one of us is going to turn out to be. That is probably the most powerful and important aspect of the development of the human being. That connection between mother and child, why is that mother is carrying that child in the womb, and do not negate the importance of the father. The father's behavior to the mother, the way he treats her, if he loves her, if he accepts her unconditionally, he makes sure that he talks the baby.
And he wants the baby that's in the womb.
And he wants the baby. That's important, because that child is learning what is man and what is father from in the womb.
That child is learning
what is man and what is father from in the womb. So daddies believe that their role comes in when they have to start correcting them in the terrible twos. No. Daddy's role is from conception. Conception. So I need to say that because that's important, because I think sometimes we as females do not recognize the importance of the father in the role of the child. You're bringing up that child, okay? And creating that child.
And choosing the right father.
That's right. And choosing the right father. Choosing the right spouse. The right spouse, not the right father.
Right. I got that right. I got that wrong.
Choosing
the right spouse. Okay.
Because remember, this thing is for life, and that is part of the problem we are having in Trinidad and Tobago.
In the world.
Men are fathering children, but they are not the spouse of the woman that they are fathering the child with. And you have women in Trinidad and Tobago who have 2 and 3 and 4 children for 2 and 3 and 4 different men, and there's no father around. And that is one of the problems that we have, this absentee father. Okay, when mommy is trying to be mommy and daddy, cannot work. That is why Kyle and them have in the John Paul II Center the Healing the Father Wound. It is so prevalent. Okay, so that's important. Now, how do we do this regression therapy, and what do we expect to happen? There's something called the tripartite brain. It's a system. It's not that your brain is 3 parts, but it operates at 3 levels. Okay? The first level is the thinking brain, what we will call the neomammalian or the neocortex. So that's your thinking brain. That is the brain that will look at things, make decisions, strategize, set goals. Your thinking brain, okay? Responding in the now to what is happening. That's an important part. Then you have what we call the paleo, mammalian, or limbic, or emotional brain, as the emotional system. So you have here is the thinking, then right below in the system you have the emotional. And then below that you have what we call the instinctual, the repetition, the visceral brain. That is where things happen automatically. You don't have to do anything about that. In the emotion, our emotions, we connect to our emotions.
Right.
And emotions is energy in motion.
Yeah.
Simple.
Energy in motion.
Energy in motion, whether it's negative energy or positive energy. And energy, you recognize from me saying energy in motion, it affects us. Because the world is energy.
Yeah.
Okay? So now this other part, the visceral brain, that is where breathing is lodged. You don't have to think about breathing. It happens automatically.
Yeah.
You can connect to how that works by you take the same route to work every day and the same route back.
Yeah.
And one day you decide you need to stop off to do something. But because it's like you're an automatic pilot.
You go past the place.
You go past the place, you land up at home, and you say, but what I'm doing here? That is how that part of the brain works.
Right.
It's instinctual.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what happens to us when we experience trauma or we experience pain in any way or anything that makes us not feel good? That is in our emotional brain. If it takes us into overwhelm, that means that it is so traumatic.
Right.
What we do is to be able to continue to operate and to survive and to live in this world, we shut the gate between the thinking brain and the emotional brain.
Okay.
When we shut that gate, we repress emotions. So we repress our feelings about the situation.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, how does that affect us? I want to use an example. A few years ago, a family, two of the daughters did the course. And they said it blew them away. They told their mom about it, and they'd had some problems in relationships with their mother. There were girls and boys in the family, but she particularly had problems with her relationships with her sons. Never could understand why. Okay? Try to do all the get help books to get help to deal with relationships, and nothing was working. Anyway, she resided in another Caribbean country, and she came in just to do the therapy with me. And when we did the regression, an amazing thing surfaced. You heard about flashbacks, how people can have a flashback. They're watching a movie and they have a flashback to some terrible thing that happened to them.
Yeah.
What she connected to was at the age of 6, she was raped by her father.
Oh my God.
At the age of 6, she was raped by her father.
Yeah.
Now, for a child to survive in that environment, ego defenses, protective defenses will come into being.
Right.
Because this is a man who's supposed to love me.
Yes. Yes.
This is a man who's supposed to take care of me, but he's not doing that.
Yes.
He's hurting me.
Yes.
So how do I survive that? I have to almost be beside myself. I have to numb out. I have to pretend that it's not me that is happening to.
Right.
So I repress the memory.
Yeah.
So that I can continue to live in the house as normal with a father who has to take care of me until I can take care of myself. Oh. So she buried it. But it doesn't go away. It's there. It's lodged there in her psyche. So that her resentment and her anger, she took that out without knowing on her sons, on her daughters, and on her husband. So there were relationship issues in the marriage.
Right.
You understand where I'm going with this?
Yes.
So this is why it's so important that if we believe that we're not functioning the way we should function, that we need to find out what's causing it. And that's the origin. So her original pain was that.
Yes.
Some people's original pain can be rejection in the womb.
Yeah.
Some people's original pain can be being corrected or called a dunce in a classroom in front of all the students.
Right.
And the feeling of shame and embarrassment that they can connect to for that. So you understand that aspect of it, okay? Also, connected to that now, we have an understanding that we have memories in ourselves.
Do these memories go away at all? What
No,
happens?
memories never go away.
Memories
From the moment
never?
of conception, and that is why on Tuesday when we spoke, I spoke
Yes.
about even the way we are conceived impacts upon us.
Yeah.
So everything that happens to us from the second of conception
Right.
is lodged in our memory system.
Yeah.
So there's a whole study being done on memories in the cells and how everything that happens to us from the time we are born till we die, all those memories are lodged within our psyche and it's in our cells. Now this is where that great Catholic tradition of generational healing and healing the family tree comes in.
Right.
Because I could be impacted upon a trauma that I experienced as an individual, but I could also be influenced by memories that have been passed on through the genes and through my lineage.
Right.
And this is why you'll have people like Father John T. and so on
And Father
doing
Bishop Robert Lee
right,
Adams
doing the healing the
yes.
family tree,
Father
because we have to
Hezekiah.
get in there
Yes.
and heal this.
Yeah.
If there has been abortion that takes place in the line, you find that it will perpetrate itself again
Yeah.
in the present generation. If there's alcoholism, besides the gene for alcoholism, which is medical, you will also find that predisposition coming down through your cells, because all memories are retained.
It's in
All
our DNA.
memories. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
All memories are retained. Okay, so you know, in the Catholic Church, we have a lot of stuff going on,
Yes.
that we don't recognize how beautiful these things are and how important they are. You know, I mean, healing the family tree, that is an important thing, but healing ourselves is even more important. It is even more important. Now, I spoke about the stages of development, and I just want to break it down, the 5 stages and what the needs are in each stage, if that's okay.
Yes, go right ahead.
In prenatal, all you and I needed to know is that we were wanted for the very one that we are.
We were wanted
For the very one that we are.
Yeah.
Whether male, female,
Yeah.
tall, short, black, white, straight hair, curly hair, flat nose, straight nose, wherever it is.
Yeah.
Whoever this little being that is being created there, wanted for the very one that we are. Mommy and daddy want us.
So, you know,
That's all.
Lorraine,
That's the
is
only
so
need.
critical.
Yeah.
Because when we spoke on Tuesday, you mentioned that 60%
66. I correct you.
she's correcting me. I thought it was 60%.
66.
66% of all pregnancies are unwanted.
Yeah, and that's worldwide. That's worldwide. That's not only in Trinidad and
Yeah,
Tobago, but
yeah.
that's worldwide.
Right, right.
Okay? They are unwanted. So that, you can imagine coming out of an environment like that, you're not wanted, rejection issues from the time you were
Right.
conceived.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what that means,
Yes.
that is a whole set of trauma coming out. And we spoke about boys and how they gravitate towards social violence and deviant
Yeah,
behavior,
yeah.
and girls, how they can become promiscuous, okay, as a
Right.
result of that. In infancy, when we come into the world, we need to be welcomed. Welcomed. Just like how you go into somebody's house and they welcome
Yes,
you.
yeah.
Welcome. We're looking forward to seeing you. We have been waiting for you. You
Right.
are so precious.
Yes.
And to be accepted for the very one that we are. To be welcomed and to be accepted for the very one that we are. To get our basic needs met. An infant doesn't know how to talk, can't walk. All they can do is to cry. And that is why you will see their mummies who will say, oh, that's a hungry cry. That's why I need to change my pamper cry.
Yeah,
Because those mothers have bonded powerfully with their children and
Yeah.
know and can
Yeah.
read their children by the sound of the cry.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way a child, leaving a child to cry in a crib
Yeah.
till they fall asleep is abuse. It is abuse. The old school teaches us, leave them alone,
Yes.
let them cry.
Yes.
Because they may be clean,
Yeah.
they may have been fed and burped,
Yeah.
but they may want something called TLC,
Yeah.
tender loving care. They've just come out of 9 months in the womb where they
Yeah.
were connected to mommy.
Right.
Now they're in this kind of world that they don't
But
understand.
I hear so many times the mothers will say, leave them alone, man, you're
No, no, no,
spoiling
no,
the
no, no,
child.
no, no, no,
You know,
no.
let the
I
child
am not
cry.
saying
And, you know,
that
yeah.
you must pick
Yeah.
up the child and walk with the child all the time. We
Right.
don't want a child that accustomed to hand. But you must acknowledge the child, you must acknowledge the cry.
Yeah.
You must try to pacify them as best as you can. And this is why you will see children who can't sleep and are giving parents hell. If daddy or mommy holds that child on the chest and just rocks that child and they connect to the heartbeat, they will fall asleep. Because that's what they heard for the first 9 months of their life. Their mother's heartbeat was constant.
Yes.
Now they come into the world, so the first 9 months out of the womb is also an important part as the infancy. They're still connected.
Yes.
And they still need to be shown that I am important. You're going to take care of me the same way you took care of me for those 9 months in the womb. So that's important, okay? Toddler, which is the next stage. Now, infancy takes you up to about 9 months. So from 9 months to about 3 years is what we call the toddler stage of development. That is the stage when you need to be allowed to explore and to separate. First 9 months, connected to mommy. Second 9 months, connected to mommy. In toddler, you're starting to separate, to become your own self. And you do that through exploring, through touching, tasting, testing, throwing down things, seeing what's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
You know, daddy give you the toy, you hold it, bap, you drop it, daddy had a bed and pick it up, and you keep doing that to see what daddy going to do.
Yes.
You understand? Right? So,
Remember that.
yes, you remember that. So that's important, to be allowed to explore and to separate. And that is when the Montessori type of teaching came into play.
Yeah.
When they recognized that they needed a child proof a room, let the child go.
Yeah.
So it is safe, but they can move around and creep around and touch and,
Yeah.
you know, and feel.
Yeah.
That's important. because that also helps to develop the child's creative abilities. Children who are allowed to explore would be the ones that climb Mount Everest. Would be
I
the
climbed
ones,
the Piti Pito.
well, so okay, so if you're toddler, these are probably bets. Would be the ones that would be the ones that would try new things,
Yeah.
that would not be stuck in a dead-end job for the
Right.
rest of their life.
Right.
Okay? And in the toddler stage of development, you also need to be allowed to say no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, Daddy. I don't want to do that, Mommy. No. And then Mommy needs and Daddy needs to explain why.
Why? Yeah.
And then we work it out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't teach a child that it's okay to say no at toddler stage, when they hit teenagerhood and their parents offering them a little
Marijuana.
joint and thing,
Right.
you want them to say no? They do that, they don't think they can say no, because to say no means I won't be accepted. As part of the group, we are teaching things.
At
Every
this is so
developmental-
powerful.
Yeah, we are
you know?
teaching things at every single developmental
Right,
stage.
right.
Then you have preschool, which is where you are developing your own early identity. It is also the first awareness of your sexuality. We are created sexual beings. Eh?
Yes.
Up to that stage, we're all little people. I don't really can't differentiate. But in preschool, I know you have something different to me.
Right.
You're a boy and I'm a girl.
Right.
So the first awareness of our sexuality comes into play. Okay? So when we see little ones exploring each other and exploring themselves, we don't go ballistic and say you're pervert and beat the daylights out of the children. We explain to them the differences. We close them back very quickly and we explain to them what is male and female so they have an understanding.
Yeah.
And we don't mess up their sexuality by making them think that it's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is when we have them develop their independence and their initiative. Now in school age, very, very important, and probably the stage that has the most spiritual wounding in it. And by the spiritual wounding, I mean that stage of development is the stage of socialization.
Yeah.
It's when you're really leaving that protected environment of the home, because preschool you're still sort of protected in there.
Right.
And you're going out to meet different people from different backgrounds, learning how to socialize with boys, with girls, with people from different ethnic groups, from different religious groups and so on. And you also building skills, learning how to read, to write, to do all the things that you need to do. And you're learning to become capable. I am capable. If I am capable, there's nothing in the world that I will want to do that I won't be able to do. But what happens to us? Teachers put dunce caps on us because we don't understand a theory in class.
Yes.
And our level of maturity may be less than the other one the same age as I am. So understanding your children and knowing where they are at and understanding the stage of development is critical. Now what happens in teenager or adolescence, where all the problems come, as we think? That is the stage where I am forming my own identity. Love and work are going to be the pillars by which I'm going to judge myself moving forward.
Yeah.
And this is when we develop the interest in the other sex.
Right.
Okay, for that significant other to come into our life, and we start to worry about what we're going to do for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But if the other building blocks, the other stages have not been good,
Right.
what happens to us at this stage of development is that we will have issues.
Okay.
We may seem to, we may be angry, rebellious.
Right.
Okay? Also, if we have come out of a system where there's role confusion in the family, that we've played a role in the family system to keep the system together. Mommy and daddy fighting each other like dog and cat.
Yeah.
So for me to take the heat off of the marriage, I need to be the super achiever. So I gravitate towards what they want me to be, and I lose sight of what I want to be.
You're right.
Okay, so a lot of issues that are happening. It's the most traumatic and most difficult time in the human life cycle, teenagerhood.
Terrible teens, they call
Yeah,
them.
but it is because it really is your hormones are going crazy, you're forming who you are, you're separating from family so you could form your own self and your own family.
Right.
And people can become enmeshed in the family system, you know. They leave, they get married, and they still have to go back by mommy every Sunday to have lunch. And the wife preparing lunch for her and the children. Enmeshed in the family system.
You didn't hear that.
Right?
You did not hear that. Deacon Derek does not do that.
No,
Go ahead, Lorraine.
I am not saying
Yeah.
that we don't have traditions in
Right,
families.
right,
That's
right.
important.
Yeah.
But we also need to recognize that
Yes.
when we have joined with another human being to form our own family, we are now creating a new family system.
No, but you know, I know this, you know, by even doing counseling and so on,
Yeah.
that a lot of wives complain about this. They say, but, you know, my husband, he
He
won't
hasn't
go-
separated.
He hasn't separated from
Yeah.
his mother.
Yeah.
And that is a big, big challenge.
And sometimes
you know?
mummies are at fault for it because we hold on to the
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
And we need to let them go and realize that if you let them go, they'll come back. You don't need to hold on to them. It's like a bird. If you own a bird and you let it go, it's going to come right back to you.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, with that, all of that said, and I just want to share something with you. I'll share it in a minute. The inner child, and this is built on the inner child theory. So that inner child who has repressed their feelings at any stage of development based on what they were exposed to, that inner child controls your behavior and my behavior until we do our healing. So when they see you throwing a tantrum, it's not you, Derek, it's your inner child throwing a tantrum. Because he is in control of your behavior. Because he's coming out of the pain of the repressed pain, not the intellectual Derek who knows that it shouldn't be happening. And this is why sometimes we find ourselves doing things, saying, why am I doing that? And we can't control it. Because it's almost automatic.
No, I want you to just repeat that. No, we're running out of time.
I realize
this show
that.
has been incredible. But
Two
go
more
back
minutes,
again.
2 more minutes, 2 more
You're
minutes.
talking about this inner child and so on, you know?
So that to change the behavior, you have to change the where that inner child is. You have to heal the inner child. You have to deal with the pain so that it could move away and the adult Derek could take control. Because what will happen is, what they think is the adult Derek parenting his children is not. Is the little one parenting the child.
So it's the child in me that's trying to parent my own children.
That's right. And the therapy that we do in original pain therapy is holistic. It's body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Spirit is very important. We spoke about that. Okay? And a damage in a child will inhibit our ability to achieve the potential that God created us to achieve. It will inhibit our ability to ascend the level of spiritual development because we are so busy protecting that pain and not wanting it again that we're not able to fulfill our true potential. Quick example, young man, sister had this young boy, they brought him, straight A student, doing exceptionally well. In standard 4, all things changed. Started to fail. Could not understand why. When he came into us, sister asked him, draw a picture. He drew a picture. The picture was him in a classroom watching a board. But he's facing the board, but his head is looking over his shoulder at the door. So sister said something has come into this child's life that is causing pain. When we dug deeper, the mother had remarried, the stepfather was abusing the child.
Oh my goodness.
The child was so on the alert of something happening
looking
that
over the
his
shoulder,
focus could no longer be on his work, but on self-protection.
Right.
So it inhibited his ability to achieve his level of capacity at his educational level.
You know, we kind of winding down here because we're down to like 1 minute and 30 seconds. Okay. But there's so much that you shared here today. You know, it's so important for us to do it God's way, you know, and we go and we do our own thing.
God is a master craftsman. So quickly, Derek, 2 parts of original pain. Theory, which is a 5-week course, 3 hours, 1 day a week, and therapy, which is you coming into your one-on-one, the fastest way to get healing. We're going to be doing a course at the John Paul II Center in June. I gave you all my numbers. Also, if people get a group together, our team members could come down and do it in your area. If it's in South, in Couva, in Arima, wherever, we are willing to come out and do it. And the cost is very minimal. For the course itself, you get is $600. You get a break, a tea break, you get a certificate of participation.
And how many weeks?
The individual is 5 weeks. It's
so 5 weeks?
Yeah.
But that's a killer cost.
No, but we want people to be able to access it.
No, listen, everybody. You know, we're wondering, you know this powerful song we call Heal Our Land? Well, I just want to share this with you. We need healing. Our people need healing. And Jesus, you know, Jesus was so incredible. He understood healing. He understood healing even in his ministry. It was not just physical healing. He understood the inner healing, which was more important, you know. You've been watching Breakfast with Deacons, the #1 breakfast show, only bringing you good news. This thing is within the Catholic Church. Come and explore, you know, your own inner self. Maybe you have, you know, been traumatized as a young child.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share.
You're most welcome. This was great. Come, get in touch with us if you're interested in this. This is Breakfast with Deacons. We'll see you on Tuesday again. I know that you enjoyed today's show. See you next week, Tuesday. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless everybody. And West Indies, we hope you win today.
For sure.
Both teams.